the how fast 9 years flew by just shows me that the next nine are going to fly by even faster. And I'm going to look back one day after being 20 years in the industry, being, mid 40s, and I'm going to say, what could I have done differently? Or could my life look a lot differently now had I made different decisions instead of doing what most people do, which is work a job they don't enjoy for their entire life?
One of the things I enjoy doing is growing a following on Twitter/X. One of the things you have to know on Twitter or X, it is full of hate, doomers, and the like. But you know what, folks? There is ability to block doom, block haters, and really curate a list of amazing folks. One of those folks that I follow is Lindsay. And let me read her pinned tweet because you need to be following her. Here we go, Lindsay. My goal is to have enough monthly income from rentals and dividends to replace the income from my job. I am 30 now, and I think it is doable by the time you are 40. That is a goal, young lady. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me, Michael. And that tweet I think I put out a few months ago. It was right after I got started on Twitter, and it went absolutely crazy, and it shocked me. It was like, wow, there's a lot of people who agree with this and a lot of people who are going after the same thing, which is really cool.
Yeah. So let's talk about it. So what was your financial background going into this? I mean, I guess where did the goal come from, right? You're 30 years old now. It's funny, my journey started when I was 30 as well, but mine started after losing a gob of money. What happened? What happened kind of pre that tweet?
Yeah, so some background of my money journey, I guess you could say. So I graduated from college in 2015, and I got a job right out of school in the insurance industry. And about a year into my career, I realized that I didn't love insurance, and it wasn't riveting work, and it wasn't something that I wanted to do long term. And I kind of looked at the career paths of the people above me and looked to see, if I were to be promoted, if I were to move up at this company, can I see myself being happy in those roles? And I think what ultimately I found out was that every step up was going to be more responsibility, more stress, more money, of course. But I never thought that I would genuinely be happy doing what I was doing. And so at that time, this is, a few years after I had started, probably around 2018 timeframe, where I remember it like it was yesterday. I was driving to work in my brand new Jeep Wrangler, and I've tweeted about this before. I was driving to work in my brand new Jeep Wrangler to a job that I didn't enjoy to get a paycheck to pay off things I had purchased in the past, meaning I had a bunch of debt. I had credit card debt, I had home debt, I had car debt, I had small student loan, I took out a 401k loan. I did it all. Like, I did everything they say not to do, I did. And so, I realized, like, I'm never going to be able to escape this job and going to a place that I don't enjoy every day unless I completely change my financial picture, meaning pay off this debt and start to get some assets that are actually going to pay me instead of me, making money from my time. And so that was around 2018, and it took time. It took time to pay off the debt. Overall, me and my spouse paid off $100,000 in debt, and then we started buying properties. We bought our first one in 2020, one in 2021, one in 2022, and then we just closed on one at the end of November. So one a year we've been buying and putting money in the stock market and into real estate, and just eventually get to the point where we can live off of our investments.
Wow, so much there to kind of unbundle, but I actually want to go back to something again. So far, Lindsay, this is scary to me. Right. I started my journey for financial independence at 30, like you. I had the same realization, and I've told people, they can go back and find it, one of my, a couple of my videos. I remember at some point in my career looking up the org chart, which is, it was my goal. It was my goal to climb this stupid thing.
Me too.
And I looked at these individuals. I'm like, I don't want anything they have. They're on their second or third marriage. They're all out of shape. They're all unhealthy. They're addicted to something, maybe illegal, maybe not. And I'm like, I don't want it. I don't want any of that. What the hell am I doing? I remember that like it was yesterday. It was pretty wild
Yeah,
to think about.
it's like a pivotal moment. I feel like when you realize, like, the path that I'm going down is not ultimately going to serve me. And, I still work at the insurance company, and I am in a different line now where I am on the product management side. So I don't deal with customers. I don't deal with claims. I actually do something that I do enjoy a lot more. But I look back now that I'm on year 9, and I'm like, the how fast 9 years flew by just shows me that the next 9 are going to fly by even faster. And I'm going to look back one day after being 20 years in the industry, being, mid 40s, and I'm going to say, what could I have done differently? Or could my life look a lot differently now had I made different decisions instead of doing what most people do, which is work a job they don't enjoy for their entire life?
So again, there's so much subtlety in all of that that I just want to highlight again, because again, kind of the same vision, just 20 years apart. I had so first we have the realization, don't want any of that, don't want to be those people. But then, just like you, I stayed in my career because I was in it. I was already good at it. But it went from being a prison, like, oh my God, I got to work 40 years and blah, 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 to, okay, I'm going to find a way to lower my expenses. I'm going to pay off the expensive debt, and I'm going to buy assets. And at some point in the future, didn't know when, I thought it'd be 20 years. It turned out to be 10. I won't have to do this anymore. And it was it was almost like releasing a burden. The job went
Yes.
from being something I hated going to like, you know what? I'm one day closer to being done. Pretty cool, right?
Yes. I feel the exact same way. Like I am 100% picking up what you're putting down. And it's so funny because like I'm at the point now where I make a great income, 6-figure income. The job is very reasonable. I have, because I've been at the company for so long, I have like 36 paid days off a year, which is like 5-6 weeks off. I work from 7:30 to 4 every day. I have off every night, weekend, holiday. It's gotten to the point now where like, in my mind, I would be silly to walk away right now when I know that I'm using the income from my job to parlay my investments. Like in my mind, and this is what I'm a big proponent of, like on social media, is like, as a regular person, you can work a 9 to 5 and build wealth. And a lot of people on social media want to downplay 9 to 5s and call them a scam and call them a waste and call them like all these terms. I don't subscribe to any of that. I think that I am in the place that I'm in today because I have and have had a very solid 9 to 5 that has given me a great income to use, and also given me time outside of my job to build what it is that I want to build. So you will never, nobody will ever hear me say that 9 to 5s are bad or talk down on them or anything like that. And I think the main thing that you said is that once you get that mindset to where, hey, I'm doing this now, not because I have to, but because I want to, because I know how powerful this is to get me to where I want to go. It's not bad going. It's not bad doing it. Every day it's like, there's a point that I'm doing this for. I have a bigger vision and this is going to get me where I want to go. So let's go, full steam ahead.
Yeah.
Totally different mindset.
Yeah. And a couple of just kind of thoughts on that. Back when I started my journey, what is it? Gosh, 21 years ago, 22 years ago, it was really hard. Or at least I couldn't find people that had done it successfully. I sit here today as somebody who follows you that's 20, 21 years ahead of you going, it works. It's worth it. Right. We share just a fraction of the cool stuff we do now, right? We spent a month in Asia, 3 weeks in Europe. We bought a crazy second home. It's all worth it.
So cool.
But it took 15 years of sacrifice. I got to tell you, Lindsay, my friends made fun of us for 15 years. We didn't upgrade our home. We didn't get new cars. We cut our expenses 50%. And our friends didn't understand. They understand now. Now there's no question. But
now they're wishing they did it with you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, actually, many of them aren't my friends anymore. They're just bitter people, but that's okay. But the other thing I want to really go back to is I think you're right. Social media glamorizes entrepreneurs. For me, it started with Gary Vee. Now Alex Hormozi, Cody Sanchez, and others are ballers. But I've been doing this longer than all of them, right? I'm even older than Gary Vee. And I don't know what the percentage is, but I'm willing to guess when I look at the people I've interacted with for 51 years, only 10 maybe 20% of us are entrepreneurs. The other are just good employees. I was a good employee who became a good investor. I am not an entrepreneur. I don't get it. I see it's risky. I do not want to be responsible for paychecks. Are you freaking kidding me? That would drive me insane. So I think you're right. And I want to celebrate. I actually think it is far easier to get financially free with a W-2.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there are people that have done it, and obviously the names that you mentioned are incredible people and entrepreneurs, and they deserve every single bit of success that they've had. And I would never take anything away from anybody who's they're building a business. I just would say it's not for everybody. I think that there's a lot of
No,
people
no, no,
that
no, 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 no. It's not for most people.
it's not for yeah, that's even more accurate. And I think for me it's like, could I start a business doing something that I'm passionate in? Yeah, I think I probably could. Do I want to take the pay cut and the headaches that come with leaving a secure income that I've had, a steady paycheck every 2 weeks, to go to an unknown? A lot of people fear the unknown, and I guess I could be part of that statistic where, like, I don't want to just, think the grass is greener somewhere else. I'd rather like focus on what it is that I know that I'm good at and know that pays the bills and know that it's steady. And I think, like, as I've gone through my journey in my 20s and now I'm in my 30s, like, I really value security. Like, I really value a secure marriage, secure friendships, a secure career, income, those things, like, that's really attractive to me. And
Yeah.
to like uproot what I have going on to make potentially less money, but with the opportunity to make more. Like, I understand the ceiling for entrepreneurs is probably greater.
Oh, no
That's
question.
cool.
Yeah.
But it's also lower too. There's a lot of people that I know own businesses, say, like, the first 5 years or the first 10 years, they didn't make anything. They might have even been negative. Like, that's just not something that I'm willing to personally take on at this stage. But I know a lot of people are, and that's okay too.
Yeah. The other thing that I'm just going to be following you and just admiring your journey over the next decade or so is, in my opinion, you're doing what I wish I did at 30. Is we've made this declarations, we've done this path, and you're documenting it. Because what's going to happen for you is, in 10 years from now, not only will you have earned or very close to earning financial freedom, you will have a massive following in a community that you've curated. So if you want to take that leap to entrepreneurship, it'll be a very soft and small step, because you would have had 8 to 10 years of, doing it the right way. You're not going to do this get rich quick thing. And then the other thing, I will
Yeah.
agree with you. Entrepreneurship, Gary, Cody, Alex, um, his wife, Layla, the
Mhm.
upside is far greater.
Yeah.
However, I'm in the certainty business. I want to play the odds. All three of them or four of them will admit, businesses fail all the time.
Oh yeah.
But, go get a job, live below your means, buy assets slowly over time, hold them for 10 years. I like your chance of
Yeah.
being wealthy. It's just that simple.
I feel the exact same way, and that's 100% what I'm after. And I've built, like, met some incredible people on Twitter so far. It's absolutely crazy that, like, in a 5 month time span, I've talked to hundreds, if not thousands, of people. I've been on podcasts, I've jumped on calls with people, I've learned so much from others. And I think that the people on social media that I really admire are the people that, like, are willing to show the good and the bad, be authentic, be transparent. Like, not everything's sunshine and roses. I've made mistakes with real estate. Like, my first couple of properties, like, didn't go at all like you would expect or want them to go, but I learned so much, and I won't make those same mistakes again. But I think it's the people that, like, really show their true authentic selves and really show the process of building wealth. Like, I didn't just pop up one day on X and say, I'm a millionaire,
Yeah.
I'm 30 and I'm a millionaire, like, no, I really want to show people, like,
Yep.
will I be a millionaire? Yes, I 100% believe it, that I will be a millionaire. Like, you couldn't convince
Me
me
too.
otherwise. But at the same time, I'm going to show you what it's like to be a 100 air and a
Mhm.
200 air and a 300, and so on and so forth. Like, and I think other people can get behind that and see, like, all right, a few years down the line, we can all look back at how it started, and it will all make sense, as opposed
Oh,
to
yeah.
just popping up one day a millionaire.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into the next thing you said at the intro. You paid off $100,000 in debt. That's a
Yeah.
big number.
Yeah.
Let's talk about kind of How'd you do that purposefully? I mean, that had to be some focus, I'm sure.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it really was like, I firmly believe that you have to be fed up with your situation. Like, you really have to be like, no more, I have to change this or else, I'm going down a bad path. And I think that's exactly where I was. I realized I make a great income and I have nothing to show for it. And that was a horrible
Yeah.
feeling
Me
of,
too. I
wow,
remember that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I wake up every day and go to a job I don't like and I have nothing to show for it other than a few toys. Like, this is not the way that I want to live, and around that time, a friend of mine had actually given me Total Money Makeover Dave
Oh
Ramsey
yeah,
workbook.
Dave Ramsey. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And, what I will say is that I don't follow all of Dave Ramsey's principles at all. I don't follow his investing. I didn't follow his emergency fund advice or anything like that. But one thing we did follow was the the debt snowball. So we
Yeah.
listed all of our debts from smallest to largest. We stopped taking on any new debt. So we, didn't put anything else on credit cards. We didn't take out any more loans or anything like that. We listed the debt from smallest to largest. We made a very serious zero-based budget. We sent we made minimum payments on everything except for the smallest one. We made the minimum payment and we sent all the money from the budget to the smallest one. When that one was paid, we rolled everything into the second smallest and the next one and the next
Nice.
one until they were paid off. And, I've gotten some slack a little bit. Mostly everybody has been supportive, when I've talked about paying off 100,000 in debt. But the slack that I've gotten on Twitter is, you must have been married and you must have made a lot of money. Regular people can't do this and all that kind of stuff. And I will say, yes, I am married. And yes, we have a dual income household. And no, we don't have any kids yet. That being said, I will also point out that we do make a great income. And at the time when we decided to, start this journey combined, we were making $100,000. And at the end of the journey, combined, we are making over $200,000. So we increased our income significantly over the time of like reading the Dave Ramsey book to actually making our last debt payment. Like, that was a significant increase in income. And we were able to send $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month to debt because we had lowered our expenses and it was not glamorous. And we sold a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
But
I want people to hear all of this, right? Yes, yes, you're married, your income, blah blah blah. All it's first off, if you get a lot of hate, just block them. Your feed gets so much better. I block people like that. I don't even bother anymore. Right? You're not in the convincing business. You're in the documenting
no,
business. Not everybody can
exactly.
be convinced. Um, but yeah, I mean, you made choices, right? You live below your means. You
Yeah,
stopped spending on stupid stuff. You sold stuff to raise cash. I mean, everybody could do it. Your time frame might be different, right? Maybe you did it
exactly.
faster than others, but anybody can do it. You ran up the debt, so you can pay it off. I mean, that's how it's supposed to work. I think Dave Ramsey's debt, or what debt snowball is amazing for most people. I think Dave
Yeah,
Ramsey's helped millions of people because so many folks are in debt. I do think his investing advice is a little tired, but damn, I
yeah,
mean, if you're 100K in debt, go get the Dave Ramsey book and go nuts. It'll definitely help you. Um,
yeah. No, I mean, we sold the Jeep, we sold a jet ski, we sold clothes, shoes, furniture. Like,
yeah,
Facebook Marketplace was our best friend.
yeah, yeah. So again, folks, what you're hearing here is that if you want to do it and you're tired enough, you're gonna have to get uncomfortable. And it's the same thing for Olivia and I back in the day. It's just different story. Facebook Marketplace wasn't there. We sold stuff, didn't buy stuff, whacked expenses. It was uncomfortable. Um, but also it's fun to look back now and see that it worked. So I'm curious, I haven't heard how long did it go from making that decision, you're documenting the list to getting that final debt paid off. So 100K total, but how long?
Yeah, so after reading the book, it took a while to actually put the principles into action. So I would say I probably read the book in like end of 2018, beginning of 2019. Probably did not start putting the principles into action until a year later, and it took us about a year and a half to pay everything off.
There you go. There you go.
So we got serious about it.
Yeah. Together. You got serious together. That's another thing that's important
100%.
about this is one of you can't be committed while the other one's out shopping. You got to do it together. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now let's switch to real estate. So it sounds like you have bought a rental property, one a year for a couple of years now, or a few years. It sounds like the first couple may have had some hair on them, but let's
Yeah.
go back to the beginning. So you paid off the debt. You wanted to buy I think a rental home. What was that first property?
Yeah. So back in 2020, we had paid off a lot of debt. We were not 100% debt free at the time that we decided to pay off debt, which is interesting. But we did have some money aside saved, and we knew we wanted to get into real estate. It was just a matter of time of, figuring out where to invest. So at the time we were living in Denver, Colorado, and we realized Denver real estate is really expensive and we're very inexperienced. And so it was like, do we want to start off with a $500,000 or $600,000 property when we don't know what we're doing, or do we want to invest somewhere else that's lower cost? And so I'm originally from Erie, Pennsylvania, which is up near the lake, and I know the market well, and I have a lot of connections there and people that I know. And so we came across the property. It was a 3-bed, 1-bath, with a fenced-in yard and a detached 2-car garage. It was like the perfect little 1,200 square foot property. And we were able to buy the house for $60,000. So we just put a 20% down payment. We took a loan out. And yeah, so we still have it. We still have it today, and it's appreciated, quite a bit. And I think it helps. Like, we bought it in 2020 with a 2.9% interest rate or something. And it's then appreciated, I think, because of inflation so much the last few years. And it's not typically a market that really appreciates heavily. It's more of like a cash flow type place, not an appreciation place. But we have some really nice appreciation, and we have a lot of equity in it, and we didn't do anything as far as like cash out, refi, or anything like that. We're just paying down the mortgage and cash flowing. And then the second one, we kind of changed our strategy. So at that point, we decided we're going to move back to Pennsylvania, and now we need a place to live, because we were renting in Colorado, and my entire family's in Pennsylvania, and so is my wife. So we were like, let's move back. And so what we did was we bought a property and then lived in it for 2 years, and we renovated it completely while we lived there. Nice. And then we bought our third place, which is currently under renovations right now. It's another home in Erie. It's another single family home, couple blocks from the lake. It's going to be a great property. It's probably the one I'm most excited about. And once our 2-year hit from buying our primary home, we just bought a new primary home. We just moved into it, and now we have a tenant moving into our first primary. They're moving in, start date's March 1st, but we just got our tenant, and we're super excited about that. We were working on it this weekend.
That's amazing. Again, there's a lot of things you could do in the game if you plan and you're okay being uncomfortable. I have to imagine moving is not fun, right? No. Packing up, living somewhere for 2 years, moving again. But you know what? Lowest down payments, best interest rates. It's how the game is played, right? You're playing Monopoly for real. The other thing I want to talk about is 2020. I mean, there are a lot of people that were screaming housing crash, doom, the world is ending. How did you have the guts to pull the trigger on even a $60K house in 2020?
Didn't listen, and still don't listen to any of it. I don't listen to the headlines. I don't watch the news. I don't do any of that. I guess my mindset is more so like, if everything really does crash and burn, like, I really believe I'll just figure it out, and maybe I will, maybe I won't. We'll find out, I guess, if it ever happens. But my mindset is like, the people that are the doom and gloomers are always the people that are standing on the sideline that never end up pulling the trigger, because they always find a reason not to. And I just don't ever want to be that person.
I love that. You did earlier on talk about some hair on your first couple of deals. We'd be remiss if we didn't highlight what those might have been. What was kind of the trouble in the first couple?
Yeah, so the first one was pretty smooth, actually, but I'll say the second one, the one that we were going to buy and then make it our primary home, we bought the house for cheap. Again, we bought it for $50,000, and we had a renovation budget for it. And I guess the biggest thing that we learned in that was that it always takes longer than you think it's going to take, and it always is more expensive than you think it's going to be. And I, at the time, this was in 2021, like, I wasn't big on social media, and I didn't have a following, and I didn't follow a lot of people that did real estate. And I honestly didn't know that. Like, I didn't know that you have to like build margin in for extra time and money. Like, in hindsight, that makes perfect sense. Why wouldn't I have thought of that? But I just didn't, I didn't think about it. And I just thought, like, all right, my contractor saw the house. This is what he thinks it's going to take. And then as we got into it, we realized it needed more,
Yeah.
and there was things that you couldn't see initially when you did the walkthrough that you found out later on that were more
Yeah.
expensive. And, I think that any new person who wants to get into real estate, like, just have it in the back of your mind that it's going to cost more and it's going to take longer than you initially thought.
Yeah. Well, this has been a lot of fun. I see so many similarities that I've highlighted a couple of times. What would be your words of advice? You're 20 something, 30 something, you've got a bunch of debt, you're unhappy, you don't see a great future, right? You kind of have that epiphany. What is Lindsay's advice to that person?
My advice to that person is find somebody who's done what you want to do and copy what they did. That would be my best piece of advice. I mean, there's people out there who have had a lot of debt and who have changed it around. And, I would say follow what they've done and implement it into your own life. Same thing with investing, like there's people that do really well in stock market investing and in real estate investing. And I would say try to an extent mimic what they did, and don't have to reinvent the wheel and do something totally different. You can kind of do what other people have done.
Yeah, I think that's such wise advice. How can people follow you? Because you are amazing on X and Twitter, but are there other areas we can follow, or is that the spot?
That's the spot. I'm not active on any other social media. I don't have Instagram or anything like that. So Lindsay Stamp 3 on X is where you can find me.
Lindsay Stamp 3, give her a follow. You won't miss out. And again, we're going to enjoy the journey together. I'm going to live vicariously, remembering when I was 30. That was a long time ago. But anyways, Lindsay,
And
you're amazing. Keep it up.
thank you. Thank you so much, Michael. And I appreciate you and everything you've done. And I'll learn a ton from you as well.
Awesome. Take care. Thanks again.